Since Rod Mayo spoke this morning, Keith, Drake May was first in reps for the QBs during Friday's media access portion of practice. I said this yesterday. I'll reiterate.
A pretty great sign, isn't it?
It is. I'll just reiterate. If this were Belichick, I'd be a little leery of the Patriots playing games while the media is out there. Because for those who don't know, and it's worth reminding listeners periodically, the media's not there for the full practice. This is not training camp.
Yeah, so you can do some dog and pony show, and then people are writing about, they had so-and-so lining up for punts.
And not only that, it's majority of it is stretching. Most of what you're seeing is stretching. So, how many when you say he's first in line for repetitions at quarterback, how many reps are you watching? Not many. You're mostly watching stretching, okay? It's 15 minutes you're out there, you don't see much. And it can be orchestrated for show however you want it to. With Bill, I was always very leery of what he showed us and why he showed it to us.
You don't think Mayo was a big shell game?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't know, but I don't have the same feeling with him. My guess is if May's first up in quarterback reps, that's because he's first up as quarterback for Sunday if he gets cleared.
I also think if he was straight up out on Wednesday from practice and then maybe limited yesterday and then limited again today, you'd be like, well, he missed one. How much? He's never missed a practice. Right, that's another way to look at it, right? He was limited with a number of other players.
Wednesday, he was very much limited, but he didn't miss the practice.
But
correct.
on the field, threw for a half hour. That's why Brissett had that hilarious joke about, I guess my practice just starts a half hour later kind of thing. But also, if you read between the lines there with Brissett, I know he was just trying to do a little joke because he's a little prickly right now, which he should be. If he's like, hey, I go in there after Drake May, what does that tell you? If Drake May is still planning to start. If they knew Drake May wasn't starting, don't you kind of really ease off the gas pedal this week? Be like, all you have to do is get your head right, and you're going to come back for the Bears. But if they think he's going to play, then all right, you're going to get as many first-team reps as you are allowed to get, and you're going to practice as much as you can, and then by Sunday, you're going to be there. So, yeah, when we were talking about this on Monday or Tuesday, we're like, well, can a guy come back from a concussion in a week? Yeah, they can. But that's kind of, clearing all the protocols pretty quickly.
They usually don't, and quarterbacks rarely do. That doesn't mean they never do, but quarterbacks rarely do. And the traditional player, more often than not, you miss the following week. I think the average that Schefter said to WEEI Afternoons is 8 days. It's typically 8 days.
Yeah. So, it's right there. It'll be a little bit quicker than that, I guess. But so I'm pretty hopeful now. I'm certainly not going to bet all my money on it. It's a weird thing. It's the protocol and all that stuff. But I'd say he's playing.
Are you worried at all about lack of reps? Like he's been out at practice, but he couldn't practice fully on Wednesday. He hasn't practiced fully yet this week, and he's limited by the protocol. You can only do what the protocol allows for. Maybe he's somewhere in between phase 4 and phase 5. Yesterday, it sounded like he was in phase 4. I don't know if today means he's taken a step forward or not. But you got to get cleared independently to get out of the concussion protocol. Are you worried at all about lack of reps or missed time or anything like that in this game?
It's not ideal, but I'm not super worried about it because I feel like at least
Are you worried about it to the point where you have reservations about playing?
No.
That's
what
I mean.
Yeah, it's not perfect. Nothing is. But if for the first 5 weeks of the year he was getting 30% of the reps, which we've talked about a lot and how that's more than any other backup would get, and then after that moment it was probably damn near close to 100% of the reps for 3 weeks. All right, he's got a little bit of a foundation, right? He's got a few starts under his belt already, so I feel a little bit better rather than this if this was earlier. Say he'd only had mop-up duty to this point, and then this was going to be the first start. You'd probably delay it, but he's already played a few games, and so I'd put him out there.
Is there anything they should do different with him this week or going forward now that he has? Text line, this individual keeps texting it. I did see this earlier in the show, 37937. Guys, he never had a concussion.
Well, I think if you're in the protocol, that means the first step of being in the protocol is being diagnosed with a concussion.
He played through it for a time. They flagged him, meaning the league, the independent spotter flagged him. Mayo's confirmed that a couple of different times this week.
Yes, why did he come out of the game then?
Right, they didn't finish the game. So, he has a concussion. I don't know how many documented he had at UNC, but it's his first one here that we know of anyway. So
he didn't really miss time at UNC. So, it doesn't mean he didn't have a bunch of them.
Right.
You just never know.
No, right. We've come to learn that with football. I don't know how many he's suffered, but this is the first documented one that I know of. So should they handle him any differently this week or long term?
I hope not. Again, because I don't look at this concussion that he got as a reckless one, like him trying to pick up an extra yard and lowering his head into a linebacker. That wasn't the case. He was trying to slide, didn't see the guy. Injuries happen. It's football. And it looks like this injury might not cost him any games. It cost him time in a game, but there's a chance it doesn't cost him any starts going forward. So I would want to keep him playing the same way that he was. He's still a look to pass first, then run. Play breaks down, then run. He's not Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray.
And I haven't felt like a little bit in his first start. The Houston game, he felt a little uncomfortable in the pocket and a little rushed and maybe looking to run before it felt like he was eyes up downfield going through progressions. I think his last couple of starts, and I know he ran a ton last week against the Jets, I agree with you on that. I think largely he is scanning the field, eyes up, looking to throw, and when it's not there, you have an advantage. Like, the defense is back, you have a running lane, you're athletic, so go take it. I wouldn't treat him differently at all. He's not Tua. He's not someone with a long history of concussions. He didn't react like Tua did on the field, Fencer's position, where it looked awful in real time. We didn't even know it was we saw a blow to the head. We didn't even know it was a concussion in real time. I'm not questioning that it was, but I'm just saying he played through it. So I wouldn't handle him any differently. I am worried they will. I'm worried that they will rein him in this week or longer term and say, because both now, Mayo and Alex Van Pelt have made a point to say, we have to continue to reiterate him protecting himself. And
I hope that's just like coach speak because the player's hurt. He's in the protocol. So
maybe it is
sound that way.
Maybe
I don't know.
It is that. And I guess I'd be fine with that if that's all it is. I'm worried they are going to rein him in. I mean, they already are not designing any runs.
I was going to say, you can't take that away. Like, what he ran last week was sort of outside of the original design play call.
So I want them to get to a point where they're designing runs for him. I'm not asking for that this week. I was asking for it before the concussion, coming out of concussion protocol. You don't need to design anything where he's smashing his head into somebody else. You don't need to design
and I think that'd be better if you have a more well-rounded offense, then I think you sprinkle that in.
Yeah.
Right, like if you have receivers that actually get attention, and if you have like a running back that's somewhat consistent, then you throw that at him. Like right now, if that's one of your main things, like, no, I don't want that either.
That should be in his repertoire.
Sure.
Though. And I hope they have that going forward. I'm not asking for that this week, but if there's a play to go scramble and get a first down, he better do it. And they better not be telling him to, just get into the fetal position, Jacoby Brissett style back there, where you just go down like a sack of potatoes.